Ship insurance. No more duplicating. Limits on how many ships you can have. There's a lot going on in the new 4.8 Evo build, which is a bit different than the current, more limited Wave 1 build. Major new updates, but in the previous build, folks were understandably distracted by something else that no one was expecting. Go ahead and tilt that chair back and lock in with me. Like up, sub up, and ring up like a boss. Let's start with the bad. If you've been keeping a close eye on progress, you may have heard that EVA is drunk as hell. That's still the case right now. Mouse doesn't work. In first person, you do this spin back and forth thing. Best way I found to get around is to go to third person and fly backwards. Bright side, it is hilarious when you're in the group and you watch other folks do it. Some issues with the VLM, you can't change the mole mining heads or the modules. Not sure how widespread this is, but I've had boxes and anything else stored in my ship disappear after storing. Some refined materials show up in the freight elevators as empty. There's persistence issues, even with things bought in the RSI store. The weird floaty thing with the handheld items that you have in live, that's still a thing. It's been a little bit crashy for me. It's gotten better with each build. I think I just had one on the last run through, so getting better, not too bad. On the new stuff, I'm not going to report on the tactical strike groups because I don't want to spoil it. Me and the boys made a run at it the first day, and I haven't been back since, so I'm going to get as fresh an experience as I can with casual ink when it drops. My first question in the patch was, did they fix the issue with locating your ship once you get a certain distance away from it? So far, so good. I haven't put it to a major test by jumping across the system and dying, but it does look promising. The stack all button is working. Poetry snaps for that one. Sometimes you do need to close the inventory and then try it again, but it does work. The mold doesn't lift up as much when you get out of the pilot seat. It still lifts up for whatever reason, but it won't go up as high and mess up your positioning over rocks as much. I actually saw a female security NPC in a bunker. The mission was bugged, so I didn't get to see no combat, but the women are finally about to see some action. Matter of fact, all the bunker missions are bugged. They won't begin after you arrive. The new detachable command module is functional after all this time. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting. We've had it in the patch, it wasn't working, we couldn't get in the seats, all kind of stuff to keep us from doing it, but now it's working, baby, with an asterisk next to that. While leaving Lorville, it will start the SMP process and detach if you sneeze wrong. Happened several times on the way up, but it was fine once I broke Atmo. There were several caterpillars in the skies, everybody wanted to try it out, and it kind of made it feel like everybody was sending Bluetooth commands that were affecting everybody else's ship. That's gonna have to get fixed before the Ironclad is flyable. But man, when it works, super dope. Felt like I was in For All Mankind on an experimental new craft. I separated and jumped from the main craft just to see if the command module had its own separate jump drive. It does. At that point, I had no idea where the rest of my ship was at. No marker, nothing to guide me back. Definitely can't operate like that, but I think that's resolved in the other build, like I mentioned earlier. The command module hits 950 meters per second, which is fine, but what an insult to the Clipper. The Clipper hits 1,000 meters a second like a damn capital ship, and it's got twice the main thrusters and less mass than the command module. CIG, I know you don't want to give Clippy too many gifts, but this is a little egregious. Anywho, there's some weirdness going on with the command module life support. Not sure if it was getting damaged during each reconnection, but it was down to 69% health just flying around attaching and detaching, and the atmospheric pressure was high, which meant life support couldn't keep up. Probably would have gave up the ghost if I wasn't wearing a helmet. After losing the main part of the Caterpillar and landing the command module, there was no option to store it, so I suppose for now during testing, you just have to leave the hangar and claim the whole ship. As you might have heard, the ASOP terminal and vehicle loadout manager have some big game-changing changes now. So in live, your flow is typically open your Mobi and the VLM to make ship loadout changes and save them, right? Then if you lose your ship, you claim it at the ASOP terminal, aka ship kiosk, and you get your ship with its loadout back, plus your missiles and ammo are replenished. Well, the free lunch is over, man. In 4.8, you make your changes in the VLM, then you go to the ASOP terminal to make a snapshot of that loadout. Once you go out into the verse and get your ship blown up, you go back to the ASOP terminal and hit the claim button. At that point, you'll be presented with two options. You can claim the default base loadout, or you can pay the premium and claim your modified loadout. Everything you added to your loadout increases the claim fee. You can view a list with the loadout and everything else like liveries that will be included in it before committing to claiming it. At this point, it's pretty much external gun rack items that get included with that, but it'll get updated to include the internal ones as well. After you get your ship back, then you gotta rearm it because insurance does not cover missiles, man. So get out there and look for that legitimate salvage. If you go out and lose your ship one way or another and then claim it, the HUD and MFDs on the original ship will say it's bricking and you have about 5 minutes to get your stuff off of it. Then it'll say brick and it'll cease to be functional. Uninsured ships have the full claim timer on them with no way to expedite. A non-insured Idris can take 9 hours, but it is free, or you can pay hundreds of thousands of credits to get your ship back with this loadout very quickly. If this is how it continues to work, then you'll be pulling some value in the form of time and credits from those LTI ships you bought. Some of you might be getting a little annoyed at some of these things, but it's Evo, so there's still some kinks to work out, some balancing to be done. You're supposed to be able to scrap bricked ships from your inventory, but it hasn't worked for me yet. Some folks ain't getting their insured loadouts back, so it's gonna take a little work to get this thing right. You now have a 25 ship limit at your hangar. Not sure what the method behind the madness is for that, but yeah, 25 ships. Maybe in the future when our hangars are expandable, then that 25 goes up to a higher number. The VLM only shows the ships that are at that location, which makes it nice not to have to scroll through a ton of ships. They need to accompany this update with fixing the Assets app. Not just really fixing it, it needs a rework to search for items rather than clicking and scrolling through every location you've been through. Alright, so as you might have heard, the F8A was in the pre-Wave 1 test, and I'm gonna let that finish, but what had folks flooding the chat was another ship. The Aegis Javelin made its way into the build. Nobody was expecting that, and there's a good reason for that, which it was most likely an accident. Few reasons why. One, the interior basically looks like they're in the middle of building it. The bridge is missing big sections of floor and stairs, so it kind of plays out like an action puzzler where you got to figure out where to jump from place to place. Except when you miss the jump, instead of dying and starting over, you might clip through the walls and get stuck in the big elevator shaft like I did. And that goes to reason number 2, which is none of the doors to get in it worked. It's too big to spawn in the XL hangars, and I don't think it has landing gear anyway, but it'll still make the attempt and then explode. The space station docking arm doors wouldn't open, so we had to employ some trickery to get into the bridge or the hangar. When you went to the hangar, you had a nice bones-shattering drop into it. Knees gone. It pretty much looked gray box inside. No lights, no textures, no stairs off the landing pad. I was glad to see the hangar was bigger than I thought. Somebody landed the F8A in mine. I think 2 more probably could have fit if you used the space just right. Me and the homie Gotti landed a couple clippers in it, so it's got a solid amount of height to accommodate some of the taller ships. Kind of hard to get a really good read on it with nothing but a flashlight though. But once you left the hangar, things looked a lot better. Textures were in place. For some reason, some of the consoles had a lot of dirt smeared on them, like they were salvaged from the crashed Javelin on Daymar. Some hallways looked like they ended in darkness, but once you cross the threshold, they continued on as they should. Some of you guys probably seen that kind of thing before in the verse. Other P-ways just ended. There was nothing on the other side of the darkness. Tried to warn one guy as he sprinted toward it, but he kept going and fell into the geometry and probably out of the ship from there. Really cool to go into the room from the beginning of the Squadron 42 gameplay reveal. The ship is gigantic. Folks already get lost in the Idris. The Javelin, whole other beast. It is a little less confusing than the Idris though. It's called the Javelin because of its straight line shape. The P-ways, aka corridors, are a straight line compared to all the angles that throw you off in the Idris. They're a lot wider too, so not as much bumping boxes into the bulkheads as you tractor beam a box to another section of the ship. And by ship, I mean flying space station. I fly the Idris a lot, and as big as it is, not even comparable to the Javelin. It doesn't even seem possible that they're making an even bigger ship, which would be the Odin, aka the battle cruiser. Even in the limited amount of the Javelin I was able to explore, there's probably just as much space there as the People's Alliance space stations. The hangar seemed so distant from the bridge, and the bridge seemed like it was across city lines from the mess hall and halves. And it was in those places that pretty much sealed the deal on the Javelin access being an accident. The mess hall has civilian NPCs milling about and what looked like a non-com standing at ease where you usually see the guy explaining things in a Javelin tour. And if you made your way into the halves, you can see the ship's badge and name, UEES Gauntlet. You've seen that name before. It got into a head button contest with a Vandal Kingship, so yeah, hell of a thing to be able to fly the Javelin in game even if it wasn't intended. 4.8 seems to have a lot of work ahead of itself, but they've been talking about moving it to wave 1 since last week, and they did it now. I don't know if they just really needed the numbers for some of the testing, like with the new tactical strike groups, and maybe they'll shuffle the Evo features to another channel, but the way they're going about this one's a little bit out of the ordinary. We talked about how money is taking a backseat to a resource-driven economy in the last vid. Still very true, but with the cost to claim your ship loadouts and onboard items and soon your FPS gear and items, definitely want to keep the credits coming so you're not stuck without a rebuy. It's the old Elite Dangerous phrase making its way into Star Citizen: never fly without a rebuy. To the Huntress, Lone Wolf, Eyes Open 2018, aka the OG Triple OG executive bosses. Y'all support this tip top, fam. Appreciate y'all. Patreons, YouTube members, super chatters, folks visiting the Boss Supply merch store. Big thanks, fam. Fly dirty, citizens.